Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be making a tutorial on how to cut and sew a modesty panel for your corset or your bustier. So if this is something you would like to learn, please stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So to start with, this is the back panel we are going to be using, and as you can see, this is just the whole back panel without the zipper allowance. So we didn't add any zipper allowance to this back panel. So now and that is the dart line. So now I'm just going to mark out 2 inches, which is going to be serve as what I'm going to cut off from this back panel. You can mark out 1.5 inch or 3 inches or 1 inch, depending on what you are comfortable with. I'm okay with 2 inches, so I'm just going to mark it out and cut it off. So so after cutting off the 2 inches, this is the back panel we'll be working on. So I've gone ahead to cut out this back panel on the fabric. So as you can see, I left about 1/2 inch allowance on the side, and that's because I'm going to turn it out. I'm going to use that 1/2 inch to turn it out. And I went ahead to cut a single piece of lining because we are going to cut the second piece differently. So now for this back panel, after cutting the first one, so to cut out the second lining, I'm just going to cut off these darts. So now I'm going to take my scissors and cut the darts. So I've gone ahead to split it into two. So now I'm just going to cut the lining for this second one separately. So I've gone ahead to cut the lining separately, and I added 1/2 inch on the side that I'm going to use to join the two pieces back together, because we are still going to join it back together so that our lining will not be short. That's why we added that 1/2 inch allowance. Then on the other side, I'm going to turn inward. I added 1/2 inch allowance as well. So now it's time to cut our modesty panel. So to cut the modesty panel, remember we removed 2 inches from the back panel when we started. So that 2 inches on each of the back panel, that's going to make it 4 inches. So now I'm just going to separate these two pieces of the back panel and make sure that the distance between those two pieces are 4 inches. So after separating it and making sure that it is 4 inches, then I'm going to go inward on the down part. I'm going to go inward by maybe 2 inches or 3 inches. My darts for this fabric is 4.25 inch. So that's why I'm going inward by 2.25 inch. Remember, we cut off 2 inches. So if we add that 2 inches that we cut off, that means I'm marking directly on my darts. So after marking that, I'm just going to measure what it gives us, and that's like 8.5. But I'm going to add 1 inch which is what I'm going to use to join it on both sides. So I'm going to mark out the width of our modesty panel. Now is going to be 9.5. So I'm going to measure how long the modesty panel will be. We are not going to start measuring from the beginning, and that's because we are leaving 1/2 inch where we are going to use to turn it at the upper part. So I measured 15 inches. So that is what I've gone ahead to cut out. Now I cut out two pieces of 9.5 width and 16 inches length. Remember, I said the length is 15 inches the other time, but I'm going to use 1/2 inch to join it both on the down side and on the upper part. So I'm going to go ahead now and join it at the lower part, upper part, and at the one side. So guys, I've gone ahead to join it, and after joining it, I went ahead to join it like so. So I'm just going to go ahead now to trim off the excesses from the joining. So after trimming off the excesses, I'm going to notch on the part that has the corners. Then I'm just going to turn it inside out, because remember we sew on the wrong side, so we are going to turn it to the right side. After turning it to the right side, I'm going to give it a very good press so that it will lie flat. Then I'm going to take it to my machine and sew close that side that is opened. So guys, I've gone ahead to sew close the side that is opened. Now it's time to attach our modesty panel to the lining that we split open. So I'm just going to lay it down, lay the larger side of the lining down. Then I'm going to place the modesty panel in between it, making sure that the open part that I went to stitch down is what is facing the side that we are stitching down. So I'm measuring half an inch allowance that we are going to use to turn the lining and the fabric together. So now I'm just going to go ahead and pin it down the same way I placed it now. Then I'm going to take it to my machine and sew it. I hope you understand, guys. Please, if you don't understand, just look at what I'm doing in this video. So guys, I've gone ahead to stitch down the modesty panel to the lining, and this is how it's looking. As you can see, it's looking so neat both on the inside and on the outside. So it's time to work on the fabric. It's time to join the lining to the fabric. So I'm just going to make sure the right side of the lining is facing the right side of the fabric. So as you can see, it is of equal length, and that's because we splitted it open to measure it separately, and we added half an inch allow us to join it together again. So it's looking the same way. So now I'm just going to take it to my machine and stitch it down at the neckline area with half an inch allowance. After stitching it down, I'm going to pull it down to the end of the cloth. I'll stitch it down at the end of the cloth as well. Then I'm going to stitch it down at one side, leaving open the other side. So that's where I'm going to turn it out. I will do the same for the second one. So guys, I've gone ahead to do this, and this is our modesty panel, and as you can see, it's looking so neat and beautiful. So see the inside, see how it looks on the inside and on the outside. Our fabric is almost ready, so our modesty panel is ready. So the next thing I want to do now is to attach eyelets to it. If you want to attach loop to it, you will not so close this end that I'm touching. You just leave it open, then press it inward and insert your loop, then you sew it down. But I'm using eyelets, so now I'm just going to fix the first eyelet on this on camera, then I'm going to go ahead to do the others off camera. So I'm going to fold in my modesty panel before measuring out the line I want to use for my eyelets. So I'm measuring out half an inch from the beginning of the fabric all through the fabric. So after measuring the half an inch, I'm just going to place my tape and measure about half an inch from the beginning of the cloth. Then that's where the first eyelet will be. Then I'm just going to be marking 1 inch, which is going to serve as the distance between each of the eyelets. So when I reach the down part, I'll leave about 1¼ of an inch, because I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to attach eyelets till the end of the fabric. So now to attach the eyelets, I'm just going to fold the fabric the way I'm folding it now, and I will use my scissors to create a little notch. Make sure it's not that much, except you are using a large eyelet. The eyelet I'm using in this video is small, so that's why I'm making a small hole. So I'm going to insert the eyelets into the little hole that I just made now on the fabric. So I'll make sure I insert it, and the larger side of the eyelet is facing the right side of the fabric. So I'm going to use my eyelets plier now to press down the eyelets on the fabric. So after pressing it down, this is how it's going to look. So I'm going to go ahead now off camera to fix the remaining eyelets on this cloth and on the other piece. So guys, I've gone ahead to fix the eyelets, and as you can see, it's looking so neat both on the right side and on the wrong side. So the next thing I'm going to do now, guys, is that I'm going to lace up the eyelets. So after lacing it, I'll bring it back for you guys to see how it actually looks. So guys, this is how it looks after lacing it up. And as you can see, it's looking so beautiful and fine and neat. So thank you guys for watching this tutorial. Please do well to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and like and share this video. Let me know in the comment section whether you tried this out and how it turned out. Thank you so much once again for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.